Why a car can catch fire. If a car catches fire, it's almost never out of nowhere. There was usually a leak, overheating, or an electrical problem that went unattended. In this video, I'm going to explain why a car can catch fire, what the most common causes are, what warning signs usually appear, and what to do if you see smoke coming from under the hood. Because understanding this can not only save you from a huge repair bill, but it can also get you out of a very dangerous situation. How a car fire really starts. The first thing to understand is this. A car doesn't just catch fire for no reason. For a fire to occur, three things usually come together. Something flammable, a heat source or a spark, and a malfunction or oversight that allowed the problem to grow. That's why, in most cases, the fire doesn't appear suddenly. There was a leak, a faulty wire, an overheated part, or a problem that was ignored. And that's why there are almost always warning signs before a fire. Cause 1. Fuel, oil, or coolant leaks. This is one of the most common and most dangerous causes. If there's a fuel leak, the risk increases significantly because gasoline ignites very easily. And here's a very simple rule. If your car smells like gasoline, don't ignore it. That smell isn't normal in old cars. It could be a leak, and a fuel leak should never be ignored. Now, it's not just gasoline that can cause a fire. It can also happen with oil, coolant, transmission fluid, or even other car fluids. On their own, they don't always ignite as easily as gasoline. But if they spill onto a very hot part of the engine or exhaust, the risk changes completely. A classic example is an oil leak that ends up dripping onto the exhaust manifold. First, you just smell something strange. Then smoke may appear. And if the problem continues to worsen, then you have a truly dangerous situation. So if you see stains under the car, if there's a strange smell, or if you see smoke coming from the engine compartment, don't ignore it. Cause 2. Overheating engine. This is another very important cause. An overheating engine doesn't usually burst into flames instantly, but it can start damaging everything around it. When the engine runs too hot, gaskets suffer, seals are damaged, hoses can fail, and fluids can end up leaking from where they shouldn't. And when those fluids drip onto very hot surfaces, the risk of fire increases dramatically. Furthermore, if an engine is overheating, it usually gives you some warning beforehand. The temperature gauge rises. You see steam or smoke, or you notice a strange smell under the hood. And here's a very common mistake. Continue driving to see if it holds up. No. If your car is overheating, the correct thing to do is stop as soon as possible, turn off the engine, and avoid pushing it any further. Because even if it doesn't catch fire, you could still end up destroying the engine. Cause 3. Electrical faults and improperly installed accessories. Electrical problems are also among the most frequent causes of fires. And this can be due to several things. Damaged wiring, short circuits, loose connections, problematic batteries, a failing alternator, or improperly installed accessories. This includes many poorly done home installations, additional lights, sound systems, alarms, screens, chargers, or repairs where someone fixed things however they could. The danger of an electrical fault is that a wire can start to heat up, melt, and ignite everything around it. And here's a very serious mistake that should never be made. If a fuse blows, don't replace it with one of a higher amperage. That fuse is there to protect the system. If you put in a larger one just so it doesn't blow anymore, what you're actually doing is removing the circuit's protection. And then it's not the fuse that gets hot. The wiring gets hot. And that's when you can end up with a real fire. Cause 4. Overheating catalytic converter. This is one of the most overlooked risks. The catalytic converter operates at extremely high temperatures, and when the engine isn't burning fuel efficiently, it can get even hotter. For example, if the car has misfires, if a coil is failing, if the spark plugs are worn out, or if unburned fuel is passing into the exhaust. All of this causes the catalytic converter to work harder and overheat. And what happens then? That heat doesn't just stay there. It can heat pipes, damage nearby wires or hoses, melt plastic parts, or even set fire to dry grass or trash under the car. This happens more often than people realize, especially when the car is parked or driven over dry vegetation. So if your car is misfiring, jerking, or having a misfire, it's not just a performance issue. It can also become a safety issue. Cause 5. Design defects and accidents. Not everything depends on maintenance. There are also cases where the problem originates from the factory or appears after a collision. For example, poorly positioned fuel lines, components too close to the exhaust, poorly protected parts, or collision damage that results in leaks. In a serious accident, if a fuel line breaks or an oil leak occurs, you already have two parts of the problem: flammable liquid and a potential ignition source. That's why, after a hard impact, even if the car still starts, it's never a good idea to assume that everything is fine. If there's a smell of fuel, a leak, or smoke, it shouldn't be driven again. Signs that a car could soon catch fire. This is where many people go wrong. The signs were there, but they didn't take them seriously. The most important ones are smoke under the hood, the smell of gasoline, a burning smell, an excessively high engine temperature, visible leaks, sparks, fuses that blow frequently, strange electrical faults, and components that get overheated. I would summarize it like this. If the car smells strange, is emitting smoke, or is overheating, don't ignore it. Because a fire almost never appears without warning. What to do if smoke is coming out, or if the car starts to catch fire? If you already see significant smoke or suspect a fire, the important thing here isn't saving the car. It's getting out safely. Do this. Pull over as soon as possible. Turn off the engine. Get out of the car. Get all the passengers out. Move away from the vehicle. And call emergency services. And be careful with this. If you think the fire is coming from under the hood, don't open it. Opening the hood can let in more oxygen and make the fire grow even faster. The priority is to get away. The car can be replaced. You can't. How to prevent a car from catching fire? The best way to prevent a fire is to stop problems from getting worse. Here are the key points. Don't ignore leaks. Don't keep driving if the engine is overheating. Properly repair any electrical faults. Don't use the wrong fuses. Check for misfires. Don't drive the car if it smells like gasoline. And keep up with basic maintenance. Because, ultimately, most fires don't start by chance. They start with a problem that was allowed to fester. We'll answer some frequently asked questions. Can a car catch fire from an oil leak? Yes, it can. Especially if the oil drips onto a very hot part of the engine or exhaust system. Can an overheated engine cause a fire? Yes. Overheating can damage gaskets, seals, and hoses, causing leaks and allowing fluids to reach areas where they can ignite. Can an electrical problem burn a car? Yes. A short circuit, a damaged wire, improper installation, or an overload can generate enough heat to cause a fire. Can the catalytic converter cause a fire? Yes. Especially if it's overheating due to misfires or unburned fuel, or if it comes into contact with dry grass or debris under the car. Is it dangerous to keep driving if I smell gasoline? Yes, absolutely. The smell of gasoline can indicate a leak, which is a serious fire hazard. What should I do if I see smoke coming from under the hood? Pull over, turn off the engine, get out of the car, move away, and don't open the hood if you suspect there's already a fire. Can a car catch fire even when it's turned off? Yes, it can happen, especially if there's an electrical problem, a leak, or a component that remained hot after use. Does opening the hood make a fire worse? It can make it worse, yes. If the fire is under the hood, opening it can provide more oxygen and cause it to spread faster. In short, a car almost never catches fire without warning. It usually smells strange first, emits smoke, or gets excessively hot. Now I want to hear from you. What warning sign do you think most people ignore before a fire? Or, have you ever seen smoke coming from under the hood and weren't sure if it was serious? I'll read your comments. Without further ado, I hope this video has been useful to you and you can solve your problem. See you in a next video. Bye-bye.